Hi everyone, Jill Lancet, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia. First of all, Happy New Year. Today is the 2nd of January 2022. We made it, everybody. I just want to get a few bits and pieces out of the way first of all. The last chance product sale ends tomorrow. So if there's anything that you wanted, you've got till 11:50 tomorrow night. So that'll be January the 3rd, unless they've already sold out beforehand. But once they're gone, they're gone. And they will be items from this current mini catalogue that coincidentally also finishes on tomorrow at the same time. There's lots of really great things in here. I don't know what's left on the sale because it changes every day. So you really need to check, get in quickly before you miss out, because when they're gone, they're gone. On the 4th of January, so that's Tuesday, the celebration sale will start, and it will also mark the beginning of this new catalogue here. Now, I still can't show you what's inside either of these until the 4th, but trust me, on the 4th we will be having a reveal and you'll be able to look through those with me. So that's very exciting. Celebration is happens twice a year now. It goes for almost 2 months. And for every qualifying order you get, you can actually get free items. But I will go into further detail with that. But we're not using anything from the new mini catalogue today. Today we're going old school and we're going to be using the current annual catalogue. And this is current until April 2022. So that's till April this year. And then a new annual catalogue will come out and there'll be lots of new and exciting things. Some things will carry over, so I don't have information regarding what will carry over at this point. You just have to wait and see, like the rest of us. But today we're making a card. It's actually about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's quite warm here. I've got a little bit of music playing. I hope it's not too loud. I live in a very noisy neighbourhood and with little kids next door, and such is suburban life. My craft room looks right over the kids' bedrooms and playroom. So if you hear some noise, it's just kids. So as I said, we're going to make a card from this using products from this annual catalogue, and I want to get started. I've already tried to record this previously twice and I had technical difficulties, so I pretty much can make this card in my sleep. I'll just give you a rundown of the things that we're going to be using today. Now, I don't know if you've seen our decorative masks. They are like stencils. They're very thin plastic. And, well, I'm going to demonstrate how to use them today, but there's some beautiful designs available. There's 2 sets currently in the catalogue. We're using the stamps from the stencils from this set, which shows this design. And there's a polka dot one. Don't know if you can see that. Polka dot one. There's one with beautiful trees. They make great backgrounds. And there's this one here. But as I said, we're going to be using this one today. And I'm going to show you how to do the technique that uses these. We're going to use our beautiful blending brushes and just an ink pad. This is the stamp set that we're using. It's called Positive Thoughts. I hope that's not glary too much. It's got some beautiful elements in it. I really love this fern frond here. It's got a little flower, feather, butterfly, and this little element that you can use for whatever purpose on the end of a message or inside the card itself. It's got some really nice sentiments in it as well. There is a die set that coordinates with it. It's called Nature's Thoughts. I have most of them out because we're going to be using them, but I will show you where they are on in the catalogue, and I will show you where everything else is as well. So the first thing is the stamp set, and it's here on page 76. Page 76. So it's called Positive Thoughts. The dies that go with it are called Nature's Thoughts, and they are on page 164 down here in the corner. You also get this really lovely little rectangular die that gives a beautiful border on it, and I'll show you that in a moment. The actual masks themselves are here on page 128. They're the two sets. We're going to be using this one here that you can hardly see, but that just is an example of how they turn out. We're also using Wink of Stella, which is on the same page. On the page opposite that is the blending brushes, just here, and you get 3 in a pack for those. Now you can wash them, or you can just you know, brush the ink off them, and they're good to go. We're also using some a sponge dauber, which is just this little thing here. It's just sponge. It fits over your finger like this. You can dip it in the ink, and then you can sponge the ink on. We're going to be using that as well. And the ribbons are from page 139 through to 140, and we're going to be using this beautiful petal pink organdy striped ribbon here. We're also going to be using this crinkled seam binding, and a staple in my craft kit is this linen thread, and it's beautiful, just to make an added accent on the card itself. And we're using these paper lattice. Now they're on page 141. They're opposite where the linen thread was. You get 10 in a packet, and I'll go through those and show you those as we go along. So that's everything and where it is in the catalogue. So we'll get started. As I said, I've already made this a couple of times in the last few days. So I'll just run through the items that we're going to be using. This is the card we're making. I think it's a pretty little card. It's got a lot of things happening on it that you probably wouldn't notice unless you looked really closely at it. But there is some blending going on here with this, where the stencils are. We've got our lattice, we've got some stamping happening, we've got some blending with the sponge daubers, and we're going to get into that as well. So that's the card, that's the finished card, and I'll just run through the sizes that you need. So we have our basic white card base, and it is half of an A4, so cut in half lengthwise, and that measurement is actually at 14.85 centimetres, and then we score it at 10.5 centimetres to create this size card. We also have a border or a layer or a mat, as some people call it, of Flirty Flamingo, and it is 14.3 centimetres by 10 centimetres. Now that's our first mat that's going on directly onto the card. Our second mat is a piece of petal pink, and the measurement for that is 13.8 by 9.5. Now, I created this. It's just a handy little guide for myself, and you can do the same thing if you wish. I've just punched a hole in the corner. I've got a little curtain ring on it, and I've written the sizes on them. Now, they are the most usual sizes that I use to create. So this one here, 14.3, is our Flirty Flamingo layer. It's the same size as that. So, and the next layer down in 5 half a centimetre increments is now our Petal Pink, which is 13.8 by 9.5. Now all of these go down by half a centimetre, and I just put the measurements on there as a handy reference guide. Of course, if you wanted a narrower border, you can then just adjust the increments that you go down. But this is just handy for me to have at my desk so that I can check. And I might want to see if that size might be better. So I can actually plan it out beforehand to see if that's the size of the border I want. So that's just a handy little thing that you can create yourself. So that's our next border. As I said, it's 13.8 by 9.5 centimetres, and it'll give us this little 2.5 centimetre border all the way around. Now we also need a scrap of white card. This is basic white, and I have already stamped it and cut it out just to save some time, because I've done this already 4 times. Now I like to stamp it first and then arrange the die so that I can get it straight, because I'm really horrible at getting things straight. So that's the way I like to do it. Stamp it first, and then I can arrange that die and get it straight. Now I'll show you a close-up of the border on this, because I think it's really, really nice. It just makes it quite unusual. Not only does it cut it out to this size, it gives you this little, almost like a pierced border that is really, really sweet. So that will be the focal point on our card. But between those 2 layers, we're going to use this, the paper lattices. Now, they're made of very thin cardstock. It's very, very thin. They've been die cut out. They're beautifully die cut out. They're very intricate. You get them in a packet of 10. I mean, that you can cut them down, of course, if you wanted to cut them down to size. But we're using it straight up on our card today. We've also got some stamping and some die cutting to do, but given that we've gotten this far, I'm going to show you the first step in creating this card. So we take our Petal Pink layer, and this is the way I use my masks or stencils. This is just taped to a bit of scrap paper. You can see the tape is holding it down on either side. Now, if this was a geometric design, possibly like this one here, you might want to have that straight. With the tree one or this one here, you might want to make sure that your paper underneath is perfectly straight underneath. Otherwise, you're going to get a bit of an offset look. But if that's the look you're going for, no problem. But the one that we're using doesn't require that. So normally what I do is I just pop that in underneath, sticky tape it to a piece of old scrap paper, and just pop that in like that. Now you probably won't see much of a difference here until I actually remove the mask. So I'll just put that in there straight. I'll open my, I'm using the Calypso Coral ink pad, and I have arthritis in my thumbs and sometimes these are a bit stubborn, so I just use something to prise them open like that. So all you need to do is rub your brush in a circular motion over your ink pad. And that's a lot of ink. So I'm going to dab a lot of that off. And I'm starting from the horizontal end because that's going to be the bottom of my card. This will be the bottom edge of my card. And very lightly, with an extremely light hand, just using a circular motion, I'm just going over this. Now, as I move up towards this side, I'm even using a lighter touch. And this is a really quick and literally quick and easy way to get some colour or a background onto a card without a lot of effort. So now you can lift the corner of these and just check your progress. Now that, to me, that's perfect, okay? I wanted a bit of an ombre effect. Ombre means going from darker to lighter. That suits me fine. We're putting things over the top of this, so that's perfect for me. Now that will go into this corner. This will go up into that corner, but we have some stamping to do first, and I'm going to show you what we're doing today. So I'll just pop that there. I have already cut out some elements of this card. I have cut out the large fern. I've cut out one flower. I've stamped the butterfly in readiness, and I'm going to show you how we stamp this flower to get this dimensional look. You can see that there's a more intense colour in the middle and it fades out. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm using the petal pink, which is the lighter of our two pinks today, and I'm just going to ink up around the edges of these petals. Now it's a very pale ink. You may or may not even see this at all, but I will hold the stamp up and show you. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is ink on there. I can assure you there's ink on there. Then we're going to use the sponge dauber, and I'm using the darker of the two, which is the Calypso Coral. And I'm just getting some ink on that. Let's see, there's some ink on there now. And in the centre, I'm going to transfer this ink with the sponge. And I'm going to overlap where the petal pink would come. And I want it a little bit darker in the middle. So we'll just keep adding it till I think that's enough. Now you can possibly see that, I'm not sure. Now when you've been using things and you've left them dry, as I said, it's really hot here today. That ink might be starting to dry on the rubber. So what you do is you just breathe, you just exhale really closely to the stamp itself, and that will re-moisten the ink. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to stamp that down. Just going to leave it there for a second to transfer that ink fully onto the paper. Well, that's a bit paler than I had anticipated, but that'll do. Okay, so now we've done that, the next stamping we're going to do is on this little piece here, and I want to create a background behind these flowers so that it looks like it's a garden scene. This one here is not glued down. This one is on dimensionals, and you can see that there's something happening in the background as well. It just fills out the background of the card. So we're going to stamp a couple of the flowers, and I'm going to use the Calypso Coral. and I'm stamping off first. And I'm just going to stamp, stamping off again, going to stamp, and just stamp until I'm happy with what I can see there. Then we're going to use the Pear Pizzazz ink. And I'm just going to open that one. And we're going to stamp this beautiful fern frond. Again, I'm going to stamp it off. I want this to look like it's happening in the distance. It's actually behind the forefront of our card. And in art, the distance is always paler than the forefront. So it doesn't really matter where we're going to put these because we're going to be covering it up. So that looks okay. There's 3 in the background there. Close that one up. Close that one up. That's done. And so that's our, it looks a bit of a mess, but it's just going to be created in the background. Now I need to cut these 2 items out. I'm going to use the mini stamp and cut and emboss machine, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's this little machine. It's really only this big, as big as my hand. You just pop these 2 pieces open, and using the plates that come with it, in this particular case, plate number 1, it will show you your sandwich there. So we need plate number 1 and 2 plates number 2. Now I always keep 1 plate just purely for the actual cutting blade to come into contact with. Just turn that down a little bit. It will get all scratched up. There's nothing you can do about that, but I always try to keep one that isn't scratched up, so that if I'm cutting something and I need to use that piece, then it won't have all these scratches transferred onto it. Now I'm going to cut both of these out at the same time, and I like to use a little bit of reusable tape. Now the butterfly is fairly easy to position, and I say that, and I'm forgive me if it looks a bit crooked, because I am actually at the bottom of this camera, so I think that's going to be great. The images actually go to the edge of the dies, so if you can see how that encompasses the edge of that image, then that should be correct. This one's a bit trickier because this flower is not even, so you need to sort of move it around and see if you can find where it fits. And I think I cracked it first go, so that's probably, I should buy myself a lottery ticket, because I've never done that before. And as I said, I've made this card about 4 times. Right, so I'm going to stick that down, pop the top plate on, and then just run that through. It's not hard. Sometimes it might be a bit awkward if you've got loose paper underneath it, but that's basically all there is to it. Take these off here, pop the plates away, and there's our images. Beautifully done. So now we can start decorating this card. We can put it together, and it will come together quite quickly as soon as I figure out what I just did with all of it. Here it is. So the first mat is the Flirty Flamingo. It's going onto our card base. Now you can use either of our tape runners or our Tombow glue. I tend to like our Tombow glue because it's a wet glue and it gives you a bit of wiggle room. Now make sure your card is opening the right way. Pop a bit of glue onto this. You really don't need a lot. I mean, that's not very much at all. Might look like it's a lot, but it isn't. And then put that down. Give that a second to grab. Now, if that was crooked, I've still got a little bit of wiggle room there, a little time to move that. Now, this will be glued onto here, and I want it to go up into this corner. Now, I want to try and mimic the border that I'll be using here. So I can glue this down now. And that's in place now too. Now with this piece here, I want to put some of our ribbon on just across the bottom third of that. Again, I'm just linking the bow that we're going to be putting on, and I'm also creating a little bit more texture and interest. So I want it about there. I'll just snip that off there. Snip that about there. And I will use our, well, it's actually, now it's called Seal Plus. This is the old fast fuse container. So I just pop that across there like that, about close to the bottom. I still want to be able to see some of the flowers. Okay, now that's in place, except it's a bit crooked. Okay, that should be right. Now I want to attach this to this. There's not a lot of places where you can attach this, so I'm going to use the actual fast fuse or the Seal Plus, and I'm just going to put that in quite a few places. Oops. Once I've got this in place on here, I can actually glue that down. Now, the trick to have it not stick to everything is this U-Butte silicone mat. And so if I lay that down and just eyeball, no, I want that even, that's right. I want that to be centered. So now, because it's got tape on the back of it, it would stick to the paper on my desk if I didn't put my silicone mat down. Okay, so now it's stuck to this. Now it's stuck to the lattice, but it's not stuck to my paper or my desk. So now I will put some glue on the back of here. And this is just the Tombow. This is available in my online store as well. It's probably one of the really good glues out there for paper products. But I'm pushing this up to the same, this top corner here, but I want the border to be relatively similar to the border between this colour and this colour, if you get my drift. Okay, now that looks about right to me from my angle. So I'll just press that down. Okay, so now we can start assembling the card. So what I thought I'd do is have this with just this little frond peeking over the ribbon. So I really only want to glue down these bits down the bottom here. Possibly that one there. And just fit that between the ribbon and the card. Now, it is going to remain up. That's just going to give that a little bit more dimension and movement on the card. I mean, you could stick it right down if you wanted to, but I tend to like having things a bit like that. So these two, we will put one flat and we will raise one up on dimensionals. Yep, so I'll just glue this straight down. And the good thing about this ribbon is it's thin enough to have that glue go right through. So it'll go through the ribbon and it'll actually adhere to the card underneath. This one we're going to pop up on dimensionals. And dimensionals are just little double-sided adhesive foam dots. But the good thing about it is they're already cut. You don't have to cut them. They do come in two different sizes. We've got these little mini ones. And in size comparison to those, you can see how small they are. I'll just pop one on there just to show you. You really only need about 3. And the quickest way to get these little devils off is with take your pick tool. I can pop them straight in the garbage tin because they become electrically static and they go everywhere. They stick to everything. So I'm just going to turn this flower around just a little bit, just so that it appears they're not exactly the same when in actual fact they are. And that's our card so far. Now the little butterfly here, this is where the Wink of Stella comes into play. I've had my Wink of Stella for a very long time. It tends to settle, so you do need to shake it. And it's like a water brush, like one of these water brush. It's filled with water here and it comes out at the brush here automatically once you get it going. So this one is actually filled with sparkly stuff, and I'm going to show you that now. So what I decided to do was just his wings, because see how it comes out like that? I hope you can see that. Anyway, you just paint it on just like a paintbrush, and it gives this really awesome sparkly effect. It dries very, very quickly, quicker than you would think it would, but especially quick today because it's really, really hot here. So that's our Wink of Stella. And I'm not even going to pop him up. I could pop him up, but what I decided to do was to just bend his little wings. So if I put my thumbnail there and just bend that up and do the same on this side, he's now this kind of shape. Obviously going through the mail he's not going to stay that way, but at least we're just gluing his body down, so his wings will actually offer a little bit of dimension. And I think we'll just place him, I think I'll just place him about there. So he will sit proud of the card. Now we're going to add some ribbon embellishments to this card as well. And it's not a bow as such. It's more like a series of pieces just attached with a bow. So I'll just show you how I got that effect, because it's quick, it's simple. If you don't like fiddling with a lot of ribbon and stuff like that, it's quite a nice little added effect without actually being a bow. So I've simply cut 2 pieces of the petal pink organdy ribbon, and now I'm going to cut 2 pieces of the seam binding, and they're roughly around about the same length, and we will trim them up. Then I'm going to use the beautiful linen thread, and you probably want about, oh, I don't know, let me measure. It's about 27 centimetres. It's probably more than enough. So what I did was I just made them cross over one another, just like that. Hope you could see that. So I've just put them one on top of the other and then just cross them over like that. Now with the linen thread, and this is where it can be a bit tricky, okay? So pick them up, scrunch them, and just cross that linen thread at the back. So we're crossing it at the back, and then we're going to tie it into a knot on the front. So if you can, hold that with your fingernail or whatever, tie yourself a knot. This is where you really could do with another hand. Okay, so I've tied a knot, and then I'm just going to tie a bow. So once you've got this tied, then you can start adjusting it. So it's tied, the bow is tied, but you just need to adjust it to whatever size you want. Now, be tough with this, manipulate it into where you want it to go. So if it's not actually facing the right way, you can make it face the right way. Just give it a good pull. And I think that's fine. So we've got these bits, don't actually look like a bow, but you know. So you can trim those up now, and I like to just trim them at all kind of different levels and different angles. It's just going to create a bit of texture, a bit of interest on the front of the card as well. And when you're ready to pop it on there, you can even adjust it more. You can even trim it off more if you feel it's too long or whatever. So that's going to go here. And I would stick that down with glue dots. Now I want that to be a little bit smaller there, and I want to just trim that off just a smidge, and that one just a smidge, and I would use glue dots, and I would use 2. I always like to use 2, one to stick it down and one for good measure, and they're very, very, very sticky little dots of glue. So you just pop them on like that, and peel the backing paper away and put the second one under there. Hope you can see that, it's a bit tricky. And then I just peel the backing paper away. So I'm just going to pop that on there, and that will hold that. That will hold that firm. Once the adhesive sets, that's pretty much permanent. And that's basically our card for today. You know, if you wanted to trim that off, if you felt that was a bit covering up the message a bit too much, just give it another trim. So there you go. I think the wink of Stella on the butterfly looks absolutely beautiful. I think you can see that there. We've got our masking or our stenciling down here, which has created another background. We've got our lattice, which creates another bit of interest, and the this little bow in the linen thread ties the colour of the lattice in with the completed look of the card. Now, when you're designing a card, and I know this is specific to me, sometimes the design, making the design takes longer than actually making the card, because you want it to have a really cohesive look. You want it to be balanced. I think that's a nice little balance there. We've got things going around here, and then we've got our meshes up the top there. So that's the card for today. I urge you to go to my online store and you can sign up there. That will actually take you through to my YouTube channel, my Instagram, Pinterest, and of course my Facebook page. You can sign up to any of all of those. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you do subscribe, click on the bell and it will actually notify you every time I do upload a video. But I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope we all have a happy new year this year. I hope that if you are looking for some last chance products in that sale, that you go straight there and you actually manage to get them, that they're not already out of stock. But I'll see you on the next video, and happy crafting, everybody. Bye.